So we are in this conference on delivering for nutrition impact in South Asia, and this morning session was about scaling for impact. So in Asia, what do you think is important to scale the successful interventions?
Yeah, this was a very interesting panel this morning. So there are a couple of things that for us to take away. One is nutrition is a problem that needs to be solved, and not only by the people engaged in nutrition spectrum, but it's a wicked problem and it requires participation from the entire ecosystem players. That was very much highlighted even in the inaugural session by both the Minister of Health and the Minister of Agriculture. So having both of them here was also an indicator that the problems in nutrition is no longer perceived as the problem to be solved from nutrition, people in the nutrition domain only, but also the important role of agriculture and the food producer. So particularly for us, where we are looking at the food system. So I was looking at the conversation from the food system lens, and primarily a farmers-led food system where the smaller farmers becomes the key. So it was a very interesting conversation. First, like the relationship of nutrition and the farmers are very complex and paradoxical too, because they are the food producers and at the same time they are the most vulnerable population when it comes to nutrition and food security. So from that angle, the conversation was revolved around how to bring the communities for solution itself, particularly the smallholder farmers. So just to put some bullet points together, one was like, let us frame everything from the policy angle. Here, the conversation was also around like, let us look at what the Constitution says and where does the agriculture and nutrition sits. And let's bring that to the policy framework and bring that to the planning and designing of the interventions. So that was one. The other is the very important feature that was talked about was contextualizing and localizing the interventions. And third one, the intervention to scale will succeed only if it is paid by the government themselves. So if it is not paid by the government itself, if it is only driven by donors, then that's not scaling. So who is responsible? The host country government is responsible. Who pays for it? The host country pays for it. And so that was also a very good angle for us to look at scaling and the ingredients of scaling, because who participates, who pays for, and who is eventually responsible? These are the questions that we need to answer before we design our scaling strategies and scaling interventions.
So Heifer's program model asks for a partnership to scale. So where do you see room for us to collaborate in terms of impact for nutrition and beyond?
So this is an interesting conference here, and the participation, as we already saw, it has engaged in organization and people from diverse platforms. So we had the ministers, both health minister and agriculture minister. So we have academic institutions, we have implementers, we have institutions doing programs, particularly in nutrition. We have organization working in agriculture. So this actually does provides a room for us to look nutrition from the lens we have in our program model. So in the food system, our strategies, nutrition is one of the important pillars that we've identified, and actually it fits very well in the conversation that's happening here also, because when you talk about food and farmers, we should not forget the nutrition and the diverse players that are present in the room. it's also an opportunity for us to engage with them, like folks from the government, the research entities, the implementers, purely doing nutrition, and also like broader stakeholder, broader platforms. Even like there were also a lot of conversation about how actually the private sectors comes into the frame of nutrition conversations. So it was an important event for us to connect with different stakeholders, different group of stakeholders, I would say, right from private sector themselves, the community groups, governments, and organizations working around nutrition and agriculture.
So, in this conversation, how does nutrition and caring for the earth intersect?
We have nutrition as one of the important pillars in food system, and actually like when you talk about food system, nutrition comes very predominantly because like farmers that we work with, smallholder farmers, they're actually the stewards of both human health and planetary health. So from that angle, if we look, they play an important role. Smaller farmers play an important role to ensure that nutritious food is available, produced and made available. That's one. And in the production process, all the caring for the earth elements are considered so that the planetary health is also is considered while the programming is done. So again, like to summarize, we should have more conversations around the fact that smallholder farmers are the stewards of both the human health and the planetary health, and these elements needs to be taken care when we design larger scaling strategies.
So, when we talk about scale, how can we ensure that women and youth are not missed out?
Yeah, that's interesting. So I recently came across an organization who talks about scaling responsibly, and that talks about not when we scale anything, there is a technical side of the innovation that needs to be scaled, and also social side of innovation that needs to be scaled. So we really need to look at both technical and social sides of scaling when we design our scaling strategies. So having said so, for us, like youth and women are a key stakeholders when we consider our program priorities and scaling strategies. Even like because they are the most vulnerable and needs to be brought into the programming intentionally. So having said so, like when scaling happens, usually what happens is the population that is most vulnerable, women, youth, and the population that are at the bottom of the pyramid in the poverty pyramid, they missed from this whole strategy scaling efforts. So again, the conversation that happened this morning, and then some principles that I recently came across around scaling responsibly talks about how to bring the most vulnerable community into scaling, because that's where it missed. When we go into larger scale, youth, population that's at the bottom of the pyramid, of poverty pyramid, women are missed out. So, but coming back to what we've been doing from ages at Heifer, looking at personal transformation, social capital, that becomes very important. And I think we really need to emphasize on how personal transformation and social capital actually has to be put at the center when we design scaling strategies, because personal transformation is what helps these marginalized communities think about beyond themselves and have a vision tomorrow, like when you talk about the seven dimension of the personal transformation index that we just talked about, like it right from understanding yourself, communication strategies, and all the seven dimension, it becomes really important to focus on those to figure out, like, to ensure that each individual that falls into that marginalized population has that aspirations to go beyond themselves and grow. That's one. And when these empowered individuals form organization, that's when the social capital happens. So these personal transformation, social capital elements that we've been focusing from the very beginning of our work, actually now there are evidences that says that these actually needs to be at the center of the scaling strategies, or else while scaling we will miss the most vulnerable population, that are youth, population at the bottom of the poverty pyramid, the women, and so on. So it needs to be intentionally brought into the scaling strategies.
So in this discussion now, we'd like to hear what is our vision for scaling in Asia.
So I think we are on the right track. We have focused on smallholder farmers and their organizations. So to reach to the smaller farmers and their organization, and the way we are approaching helping the farmers organization to be strengthened, that's one strategy. The other strategy again is to work with the government. So as I said earlier, unless the government comes into the frame, the scaling actually doesn't happen. And along with the government, other stakeholders, so other entities that are in this domain, including private sector. So this engagement of different stakeholders, that's going to be another strategy. So these are actually the conversation that is happening among us, working with the farmers organization, bringing all the other system players in the ecosystem, and also looking at how we can leverage their strengths, is a conversation that's happening. So I think we are in the right track, and we also have nutrition as one of the pillars in food system. So we also need to talk more about that. There's plenty of evidences that we have. So another strategy that we really need to emphasize is also capturing the evidences that we have and bringing that into the program design.
So this has been a very interesting conversation, and we are here in the conference where nutrition and impactful scale has been a big discussion. And I think we have a lot to showcase as we are working in Asia, in 4 countries in Asia. So we are here learning and sharing our evidences. So thank you for this.
Yes, and there has been a lot of conversation right now about the changing context right now, and specifically the constraint of resources for all the organizations that are present here. So I think this is again also an opportunity for all the stakeholders to come together when there is constraint of resources. Maybe it's an opportunity for us to join hands and leverage each other's strength.
So thank you so much for this discussion. It has been a very interesting plenary this morning, and we are hearing a lot from many organizations present in this conference. Thank you.
Thank you.